Hello, this is Dia Damson, and today we are going to paint a flower, and we will have many places that we can stop the painting and pretty much be the end of it, or we can push it a little bit further. So I will really fast sketch the flower on the canvas, and pretty much I'm planning my center to be that egg shape, and those few dots will be the little pollen in the center, and every leaf overlaps another one, so you're going to have one side that kind of ends into another leaf, and this one on this side is a little bit bended towards us, and the small one right on the front, the one I started with, is actually folded in, so we see the bottom part of the leaf, of the petal. And I will just add few little petals all around. None of them are perfect, none of them are the same, so pretty much it's going to be super easy to sketch this. And now we can start painting. But before I begin, please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you get notifications from my future videos. So you're going to see me going between two techniques. One is wet on wet, and the other one is wet on dry. So in this case I'm doing wet on wet, and I do have a very light hue of that pinkish color. I am using magenta, and it's just diluted in water, so it just makes that pinkish hue. And after that I am going to make the surface that I want the paint to drop the paint in wet, and then I will drop the paint only in certain places, so it's not all over the petal, but it's going to be the petal that it's either right behind another petal or where it's touching the center. So like right here I made this area wet, and now I'm gonna just grab the color and pretty much touch the brush down and lift and touch the brush down again. And then if it's not enough water, just like here, I'm gonna go back in and add a little bit of water so that paint can start moving around. So even if you're doing wet on wet, sometimes you don't have enough water for the paint to go around and move around and give you this beautiful bursts. You can always go back and add water. And right here we're doing a little bit lighter, so the same exact thing I'm going to do to all the petals except the one that it's folded in, because that has different pattern. All the rest are looking towards us, so that will be the only thing that I'm going to say. Just observe what I'm doing on that petal. Everything else is very similar. You're just kind of repeating it and giving it more or less volume. So in this case I decided just to drop gently the paint right around the previous petal, and then with the brush pulling a little streaks of that super light color to create almost like a texture, like the petal is very uneven, so it has these lines. So how we're going to make those petals separate is just by adding more color where one petal is behind the other one, and less color to the petal on the top, the place where it is touching a flower or petal underneath. I am leaving a little bit of space, a tiny white line in between the petals, and this is only not to lose the elements. Those little white lines will be filled in on the end. So the way that the watercolor moves into the wet paint or wet surface, it is beautiful. It can create really beautiful bursts. Without a lot of work, you can have a beautiful piece. So right here, I'm going to work out a little bit that paint that I applied so I can soften it even more, make it more transparent, and then I'm gonna add what I need. So this is almost on some of the petals. I'm doing second layer and it's almost the same. So gently I'm layering until I reach the desired intensity in the flower. So this area, I'm going to go around these little dots that I created. Now this could be also a good place where you can use masking fluid and add it to those tiny little dots, so you don't have to worry of covering them up because you want them to be yellow, not to be pink on the end. So this little area, we have the petal that has a little corner that it's flipped towards us, so we don't see the top of the petal, we actually see underneath. So partially on top and partially underneath. So that little bend on the petal is the one that we're gonna leave white or much lighter pink. So this is a place where you can stop or you can push it a little bit more. So I'm checking for the petals that are dry, and what I'm doing is I'm adding with the magenta almost like a ziggity-zaggedy kind of a line that it's very uneven. So I'm gently shaking the brush back and forward and creating that uneven edge that is a little bit outlined. So I'm not going all around the petal, but in the areas where I want this to pop. And also the darker pink on the petals, look at those as shadow. It's just the area where another petal is on the top, so that's why the color it's a little bit more intense. So I need for this to dry before I add another layer. But like I said, you can stop in so many stages of this flower. So decide where the flower makes you happy and where you want to stop. But I will push it a few more layers. So for the greenery, for the foliage around the flower, I probably have only 2 leaves that look like leaves, and the rest is a pretend leaf. The colors are of leaves, but the shapes are kind of broken, or they're, well, triangles or partial triangles, or just filling in the white area. So don't overthink it. If you have 1 or 2 leaves that stand out more like leaves, then the rest, even if you fill it in with the green colors and use multiple green colors, mix your greens with yellow and blue to create fun greens, then it's going to look like it's sitting in a lot of leaves, a lot of foliage, versus if you decide to make absolutely everything a perfect shape and perfect leaf. So don't overwork it, just have fun with it. And again, so the leaves that are the greenery, that it's close to the petals, will get a little bit darker, and that's going to be our shadow representation. That's going to be the area where it's in shadow a little bit. Doing absolutely the same thing as what I did to the flower, to the petals of the flower. Just making, dropping the paint into the wet surface and just leaving it alone so it kind of moves around on its own. And if it doesn't, I will go back and help a little. Go in and fill in with different colors, and if you see the way the brush is moving, it doesn't have almost direction even. I'm just filling in with different greens. So I'm leaving a lot to the imagination of the person who is observing. So for the center, I have to wait until my paint dries so I can make that surface a little wet, and then drop in the yellow, and then I will drop in a little bit of orange. And again, I am not overdoing it, I'm just dropping in the color and leaving it alone. So this could be another stage of your flower, but let's push it one more layer and see what happens. So we are going to have a deeper hue. We're going to add more of that color. So I'm adding the color. Now my surface is dry. So this time we are doing wet on dry. So I'm adding the color and then going in with a clean wet brush and softening the outside of the drop area so the paint will start moving in to the wet. So absolutely the same technique it's going to be for all those petals in different shapes. It's almost like we turn on the volume a little bit on the color, so we're making it much darker. Trying to be very careful not to cover those little yellow dots. So now our flower has a lot deeper hue. So I'm using absolutely the same color. There's no white in this color. Pretty much that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell, and happy painting! Bye!